Across the globe, the delicate balance of our planet is shifting. As temperatures rise and glaciers melt, the seas are swelling inch by inch, claiming land and threatening to redraw the map of our world. Join me as we journey to the front lines of this global crisis, to those nations most vulnerable to the rising tides, where the fight for survival has already begun. We will witness the human stories of resilience and adaptation, of communities grappling with the prospect of losing their homes, their history, and their very way of life. Here, in the turquoise waters of the Indian Ocean, we find the Maldives, an archipelago of breathtaking beauty. Picture-perfect islands fringed with palm trees, their white sand beaches kissed by crystal-clear waters. But this paradise, home to 500,000 souls, is facing an existential threat. With an average elevation of just 1.5 meters above sea level, the rising ocean poses a constant and terrifying danger. Each high tide, each storm surge serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of their existence. Already, some islands have been lost to the waves, their inhabitants forced to seek refuge elsewhere. The government is engaged in a desperate battle against the rising tide, constructing seawalls and even considering the radical solution of building artificial islands. Our journey takes us now to Bangladesh, a land of lush green deltas and mighty rivers. Here, over 160 million people live in the shadow of a different kind of watery threat. Its fertile delta, formed by the confluence of the Ganges and Brahmaputra rivers, is both a blessing and a curse. While it provides sustenance and lifeblood to millions, it also makes the nation incredibly vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. Rising sea levels are pushing saltwater further inland, poisoning freshwater sources and threatening agriculture. Bangladesh is already prone to devastating floods, but as the climate warms, these events are becoming more frequent and more severe. Millions have been displaced from their homes, their lives upended by the rising waters. Yet, even in the face of such adversity, the spirit of the Bangladeshi people shines through. In the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean lies Tuvalu, a tiny nation of atolls and reefs. Home to just over 11,000 people, Tuvalu is a place where life has always been lived in harmony with the sea. But that delicate balance is now under threat. The rising ocean is eating away at its shorelines, contaminating freshwater sources and threatening to submerge entire islands. For the people of Tuvalu, the impact of climate change is not a distant threat, it is a daily reality. Saltwater intrusion is making it increasingly difficult to grow crops, forcing them to rely on imported food. Despite the immense challenges they face, the people of Tuvalu remain resilient. They are exploring innovative solutions, such as building floating islands and constructing seawalls, determined to preserve their culture and their homeland. Our journey continues to Kiribati, another island nation in the central Pacific Ocean facing an uncertain future. Spread across 33 atolls and reef islands, Kiribati is a nation on the front lines of climate change. With most of its land barely 2 meters above sea level, Kiribati is exceptionally vulnerable to rising sea levels. Coastal erosion is already claiming land, displacing communities and threatening vital infrastructure. The encroaching saltwater is contaminating freshwater sources, jeopardizing agriculture, and increasing the risk of waterborne diseases. Faced with these dire circumstances, the government of Kiribati has taken the unprecedented step of purchasing land in Fiji as a potential refuge for its citizens. Despite the looming threat of displacement, the people of Kiribati remain resolute. From these small island nations of the Pacific, we travel to the Netherlands, a country renowned for its age-old battle against the sea. Here, advanced engineering and innovative water management have allowed the Dutch to thrive in a land where much of the territory lies below sea level. But even the Netherlands, with its centuries of experience, is facing unprecedented challenges as the climate changes. Rising sea levels and more frequent extreme weather events are putting immense pressure on the nation's elaborate system of dikes, dams, and storm surge barriers. The government is investing heavily in strengthening existing infrastructure and exploring new solutions, such as creating floating cities and adapting to a future where living with water is the new normal. The Dutch experience offers valuable lessons for other nations facing similar challenges. Our journey takes us to the Seychelles, an archipelago of breathtaking beauty in the Indian Ocean. Known for its pristine beaches, turquoise waters, and lush tropical forests, The Seychelles is a paradise destination for travelers from around the globe. But beneath this idyllic facade lies a growing threat. Rising sea levels and warming waters are putting the Seychelles' unique ecosystems and the livelihoods of its people at risk. Coral reefs, vital to the marine ecosystem and tourism industry, are bleaching and dying as ocean temperatures rise. Coastal erosion is eating away at the Seychelles' famed beaches, impacting tourism and threatening coastal communities. The Seychelles people are actively engaged in conservation efforts to protect their fragile ecosystems and adapt to a changing climate. Our journey takes us back to the vast Pacific Ocean, to the Marshall Islands, a nation of atolls and low-lying islands scattered across a vast expanse of blue. Here, the impacts of climate change are not a distant threat, but a daily reality. With many islands just a meter or two above sea level, the Marshall Islands are on the front lines of rising sea levels. Coastal erosion is claiming land, displacing communities, and threatening vital infrastructure. The intrusion of saltwater is contaminating freshwater sources, jeopardizing agriculture, and increasing the risk of waterborne diseases. Faced with these existential threats, the Marshallese people are fighting for their survival. They are engaged in a range of adaptation strategies, from building seawalls to relocating communities to higher ground. Our final destination takes us to Vietnam, to the Mekong Delta, a vast and fertile region that is home to millions of people. This rice bowl of Vietnam is a land of intricate waterways, lush rice paddies, and bustling floating markets. But the Mekong Delta, like so many other low-lying regions around the world, is facing a growing threat from climate change. Rising sea levels, coupled with upstream dam construction and sand mining, are pushing saltwater further inland, threatening agriculture and livelihoods. The intrusion of saltwater is contaminating freshwater sources, jeopardizing rice production, and forcing farmers to adapt or abandon their traditional way of life. The Vietnamese government, along with international organizations, is working to address the challenges facing the Mekong Delta. Efforts are underway to promote sustainable agriculture, improve water management, and build resilience among local communities. Our journey has taken us to the front lines of climate change, to those nations and communities most vulnerable to the rising tides. We have witnessed the challenges they face, the resilience they have shown, and the urgent need for action. The stories of the Maldives, Bangladesh, Tuvalu, Kiribati, the Netherlands, Seychelles, the Marshall Islands, and Vietnam are a stark reminder that climate change is not a distant threat, but a present reality. We must act now to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, support adaptation efforts, and build a more sustainable future for all. The time for action is now.